Nobody's going to sleep, okay? We're going to be talking tonight of a subject that is really part of what we believe, the influence of the spirits in our lives and vice versa. We tend to believe that only the discarnated are the ones that influence us. But we know that there is that exchange all the time between both worlds. If we believe that life continues, and if we read the medium's book, right at the beginning there are a bunch of questions that make us think about it. If we believe we now love someone, and that person likes to talk to us or be close to us, if we have that interaction, or if we don't like someone, we have that person in our minds all the time, how come that would be any different if after we die, if life continues, like we believe it does? It's just very logical, right? If I'm alive now and I'm a good friend with Luemara, right here, well, guess what? I'll continue feeling that same kind of feeling towards her, and therefore we want to have that relationship continuously. And if I can talk to her via a medium, if I can get news about her, if I can visit her, why not? Right? It just is the same.
You talk about
after we die, our body dies.
So why couldn't you just talk to her without a medium?
I couldn't. Well, just during the sleep, right? We could visit each other when if she's incarnated, when she's asleep.
I'm talking about incarnated.
I need a medium to talk.
Really?
Well, because, okay, look, let me make sure I make myself clear. If I die, right, or when I die, I should say.
And when she dies?
No.
Oh.
She is incarnated. I'm talking about one is discarnated, but while we were on this planet, we love each other. How come that will change, right? My mind and my feelings are not going to disconnect from that person, right? Imagine our families, our children, our parents, people that really are very close to us. We really continue having those same feelings, and those that we don't like the same way, sometimes even more. Because even now, let's think about it. When I don't like somebody, I tend to think of that person even more than those that we love. Isn't that true? Yes. We think love frees us, but hatred does what? Binds us. So the moment that we are able, that doesn't mean that I die, and then if I hate somebody, well, I'll continue hating until I forgive. And that is for everyone, right? So the story of obsession, it is when this kind of relationship influence gets really intense to the point that starts really bothering the other person. Okay, so I'm kind of using very common words because they're big words. Sometimes people mystify them, and they are not very complicated to understand. So we're going to talk in a very simple terms to understand. If you want to get more technical, we can get more technical some other time, okay? With books and so on. There are many, many books on it. Let's see. Okay, I need to turn on. Okay. Oh, please, let's turn off the cell phone. Okay. Spirits are nothing but the souls of human beings stripped of their physical body. That's in the medium's book. That's exactly what we talked about. If I think of myself as an incarnated spirit, and those who are not in this, they already died. They are discarnated spirits. We are all spirits, except that if I am incarnated, I have the body, the material body, right? That's the basic difference. Our thoughts, our feelings, like we normally learn, we do not become better or worse just because right after death. We don't become saints, we don't go to hell or heaven. We are who we are at that moment in our history, in our moment of as a spirit, and we evolve. We don't go backwards, but we can be stationary for a long time, right? If we choose so. Centuries, or more. It depends. Whatever I learn, I acquire as a spirit, spiritual values, that is forever. That's eternal. The good news is the bad things that we still have on us, our issues that we need to learn, they're not forever. There is a law of progress that will push us in one way or another, either through love or through pain. But we are going to learn. We need to go forward. That's part of God's laws, one of the divine laws. And because of another law, which is the law of attraction, another divine law, we attract those who are similar to us, right? We normally think the opposite for love, right? To passion and so on. Say, oh, the opposites attract each other. Maybe. But for this situation of thoughts, it is the affinity. It is how we think and how our mental, what we emanate, what we transmit, is what causes people to be attracted to us. In other words, if I'm really upset about something, and I really want revenge about, to get someone who did something bad to me at that moment, I'm going to be thinking those kinds of thoughts of revenge and planning and upset and this and that. Those thoughts, and the same for good ones too, this is just an example. It goes through to the universe. It goes in waves throughout the cosmic fluid, right? Universal cosmic fluid, which we all immersed. And that's how it attracts other people with the same kind of thoughts. So then we say, we are never alone. It's very true. Because if I have those thoughts, suddenly spirits, but not only spirits, discarnated spirits, even people around us, people who think alike, they will be attracted to help us to make that work. Give us suggestions, inspire us to do what we want to do. Does that make sense? The same way, if I want to do good, I want to really help people, I want to be a good person, well, I'm sending these thoughts and I attract other spirits and people, incarnated people around me who have that same kind of affinity with me, and therefore we help each other, we feed each other, we influence each other in those kinds of thoughts. And so it doesn't matter if we're incarnated or discarnated, except that for our invisible friends, they have a big advantage over us. They see us, they see the others, we don't see them unless I'm a medium, right? A clairvoyant medium, but if I can see, that's a different story. But if not, then if I have somebody who dies from the physical body and doesn't like me, I'm in a big disadvantage, right? Mm-hmm. And those who love me, how wonderful. They continue loving me, they continue praying for me, they continue helping me, in, doing everything to help me, even though I don't see. Right? Okay. So let's see. The influence of the spirits upon our thoughts. Let's read because it comes from the Spirit's book. The influence of the spirits upon our thoughts and actions, either for the good or for the evil, is greater than you suppose, for very frequently it is they, the spirits, who guide you. This is powerful, right? It's not like just, sometimes it can be as simple as, I like those cartoons, right? Remember the cartoons have the little angel and the little devil here? Well, what do they represent? The good spirits and the spirits that are still inferior, right? They're still not aware of goodness. I don't like to say bad spirits. They're just not aware. And so those are all the time. And I connect to the spirits that depend on my thoughts. Sometimes it's merely a thought. And then sometimes we identify even. Some thought come to our mind and say, wait a minute. Have you had that experience? Thinking of something that you say, doesn't feel like me thinking something like that. Or not? Who has experienced that? Yeah? That kind of thought, like that you say, I wouldn't, I'll give an example. You're driving, and never thought of suicide in your whole life. This is not part of you. This is not what it never came through your mind. You're a happy person with all the problems that we all have, but that's not something. And suddenly you're driving, and then you're on an overpass, and comes to your mind, if you just turn a little bit to the right, it's over. That'll be it. Well, and then you go, hey, hello. Let's pay attention at our thoughts. So why would I think that? I never want to die. I don't want to die, right? Why came here? So we know it's not going to be over. It's just going to be terrible.
It could be worse.
Right, it could be worse. I'll cause myself more problems, right? So, or sometimes simple things. Have you experienced, like, if you have a son or daughter or your mother or a sister, and they go out and suddenly you start thinking something for nothing. You start thinking, oh my gosh, what if they have an accident? And I tell you, if you feed that thought, you almost want to go after them, because that gives you that, you get so afraid of it, so worried about it. And then if you stop and go, why did I think that? Of course, anybody, anytime could have an accident. Why right now I'm going to be here worried about something that, but that thought. And then you gave the opportunity for that to grow in yourself. Does that make sense? It gets to a point, can be as simple as that. We quickly identify. Sometimes we don't identify, but we move on and we just don't pay too much attention. Other times, that grows in a way that really we get to be guided, because we let that happen. Okay? We are not victims. This doesn't exist. In Spiritism, the one thing that we learn that's key is that the law of the cause and effect means that every action that we take, there is a reaction. So therefore, for every reaction, for everything that's happening, there is a cause behind it. And this cause has to be just, because God is just. And if I don't have an explanation now, that explanation comes from before, that I don't remember, from previous lives. That's the philosophy behind what we believe. And therefore, everybody, even though it's hard, and sometimes we are in that position, A victim in the sense of receiving, suffering the action, right? You suffer that action, you feel it is the victim at that moment, but not in the victim in the sense of injustice or something that is not fair. You know, even though if you look at one life, if you look at that moment, you go, wow, you know, that person is such a nice person, and then you go on and on and on and on. She or he does not deserve it. Well, we are just looking at that one moment in the spiritual life of that person. So, when we look that way, it doesn't look fair. But if I believe in a fair God, in His justice or its justice, I believe that there must be a cause from before. So if we read the Gospel according to Spiritism, there are explanations on the afflictions that come from the present and the afflictions that come from before. So those afflictions that we don't see the cause, and I normally joke here about, you know, if I eat a feijoada, drink caipirinha and this and that, you know, the Brazilian heavy food, well, and I have a stomach ache an hour later, obviously I can see the cause right now, right? Or if I fall and I have an injury and it hurts, well, you know, obviously I know why. But certain things we cannot pinpoint so easily. And it's not that everything's like, oh, that person was a bad person because that's why now it's happening. No, it's not. There are new tests also that we go through. So, but there is a reason. Either because we are learning something new or because it is an expiation from previous lives. Okay? So no victim. Why am I saying all that? Because when we talk about obsession, and obsession is an unhealthy, persistent action and influence of spirits onto other spirits. Could be incarnated or discarnated. Okay, that's why it says spirit to spirit. Well, when I say that, some people go, but this is not fair. You know, how am I going to live my life? Why would I have spirits influencing me, so it's not my fault and this and that? Well, we talked about the law of attraction, our thoughts, our own responsibility, and we attract those either because we have a previous relationship with those spirits, like a personal problem, right? Well, I killed somebody in the past, that person didn't forgive me, right? And it's pursuing me, it's after me all the time. Well, this is a personal problem. Why we don't learn how to love each other, forgive each other? Sometimes there are incarnations and reincarnations that these spirits come, kill, get killed, and do other things to cause problem to the other until we learn to forgive. But there are also situations that, like I said, it's just because I like something and I attract, like in the, you know, in this world, you know, incarnated world. If I like to go and get drunk, I will have friends, usually that, you know, will enjoy that kind of thing. Or if I like to play cards, or if I like just to listen to classic music, whatever I like to do, usually the group of friends that I hang out with will be the same, will have similar taste, right? Yeah? Tendencies, thank you. So, the same thing here, it is that some spirits, knowing that we like certain things, they will be attracted by us. So they'll, oh, let me go there. You know, she likes, you know, I gave the first example I gave about getting drunk, right? You know, go. Well, that spirit, we used to like that when he was incarnated. Well, just, okay, let me hang out. And then, guess what? And one day I say, I don't feel like it. And then the spirit will say, come on, go. Because he or she is interested in drinking, right? And I am not, so I'll get influenced. Like some friends. Sometimes I say, let's do something different tonight. I don't feel like doing that. And the others will influence, oh no, let's do it. Right? Whatever it is. I just gave an example. Could be anything that attract each other to do things and influence each other. We do that all the time. So it's different just because we don't hear with our ears, right? We don't hear that way, but the influence is there. If I really can resist, I'll resist. If not, I'll just do it. Just one second. Yeah.
You gave an example in relationship to action, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you drink too much. And I was just thinking about an example when it's related to feelings.
Mm-hmm.
For example, someone who likes to nourish sadness,
Mm-hmm.
for example, because we all get sad. It's normal. But some people, they seem to like that feeling,
Mm-hmm.
or they seem to like to have that nostalgia or something. So the spirits who were sad may get around too. So I was thinking about feelings as well.
Exactly. Like when we talk about wanting revenge or actions or feelings or personal situations. So this interaction happens in many cases. Sometimes not even. That spirit is very lonely, a little lost. And then he's walking around, a little lost. Because what do we believe? Just to make it clear. That not necessarily we die and we go specifically to one place or to another place. Because we have our free will, right? We don't change. So if I think that I just like, I don't believe in anything, I can just keep walking until I figure out what is going to happen to me next on the other side of life. If I think that I'm going to sleep until I get judged, well, I'll be sleeping for a while, right? I mean, that's my mind, my thoughts will make me go to different places. If I have remorse, guilt, I am attracted to places that are not as good because I don't feel I deserve anything better. But if I believe in God, right? Doesn't matter which religion. And I will pray and ask for help, or even if I don't know how to pray formally, but I ask for help to the good spirits, I'm helped. So where we go in the situation, that's a whole other talk. But that means that I can have the spirit around and just walking and a little lost. And then it gets to our house, and our house is, happens to be that day very peaceful. And, where we're, I don't know, playing together, talking, chatting. It's harmonic, the household that day. That person gets attracted to that place. Say, oh, this place is good. It reminds me of my family. Oh, look at that person. Looks maybe like my mother. And that kind of fulfills that need in that moment. Oh, the spirit just stays there. Oh, and there is an influence also. Sometimes not as good, depending on the vibrations of that spirit. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Maybe it's a lot of information for some people, but that's okay. We'll be talking more and we can always go back. Okay? You're saying something, Lemar? Did I cut you
No, I
off?
was just going to say that sometimes it's even more powerful than when it's just my friend telling me to go do something, because it comes as my own thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
So if we don't cultivate the habit of questioning our thoughts, then it's even more powerful, because at least with a friend, I know it's Tania inviting me to go to this place.
Exactly. We think we are thinking,
Yeah.
Exactly. That is very true. So look at this. We are very used to think of the discarnate spirits influencing us, right? We feel like, there are some spiritists that it's kind of funny that everything, it's probably an obsession. It's probably a spirit influence. If the person is doing something wrong, it's so easy to blame somebody else, right? We just forget that even if I am being influenced, because I'm allowing that to happen, it's because I feel that way. Because if I don't have that tendency,
If there's no affinity,
there is no way that spirit will influence me. Right?
You could influence the spirit.
Exactly. That would be the best thing, right? In other words, let's say, if I'm a person who do not like to talk badly about other people, And imagine that I already conquered that, right? Do you think anybody can come and start talking about other people, make me talk about other people? No. But if I like that, if I still have that in me, anybody can come, and then that will be a good temptation, right? To start me on that. But so it is in me to be, to follow or not to follow. So I cannot blame anybody, because no matter what, it's my responsibility. That's the hard thing in Spiritism. We are in charge of our happiness and our problems, okay?
Because sometimes it's easy for you to do that, but sometimes it's not. So sometimes, like you said before, you are aware of what is happening, and sometimes you are not.
No, if you're not vigilant.
It happens sometimes that you go through moments in your life, and then from one minute to the other, you wake up, and then you understand what's happening, and then you realize that, wow, why am I acting like that? Why am I saying these things? And then it's the point that you supposedly disconnect from that influence.
Exactly. So we need to watch and pray and pay attention at ourselves, our thoughts, and what, and really what we're making. When we're making a decision, think about it. Don't let just wander your thoughts. It happens in the spiritual world, discarnate to discarnate. They also influence each other. Here, incarnate to incarnate, obviously, right? Like we said before. And we also influence them. How? Oh, okay. I love somebody, that person dies. And then I'm here, panicking, crying all the time. But not that cry because I miss. Of course we cry. We miss the person. That's okay. But like when you're desperate and you're calling that person, and then we have that idea that the person now is discarnate, so they can help, they're saints, they can do anything. And that's not correct. We don't know the situation of the person on the other side. Maybe the person needs more from us than vice versa. And then suddenly we start just, doing a way that we give no peace to the other person. And the Spirit is there trying to move on, trying to figure out what to do, what comes next, and this and that. And instead, we keep bugging them. So we are influencing them in the wrong way, and obviously the positive way too. Everything positive or negative, okay? Let's not take one way. I can be praying, the person is in, difficulties there, doesn't remember really to ask for help, is still not understanding or not very happy. And then we pray, we send good thoughts, the love and this and that. Well, we're going to reach that person through the good spirits to help them. So we can intercede, is that English? Intercede and help those that we love, that we care. When I say we love, not necessarily we love in the sense that we know. When we pray, we do our vibrations. When we write here the names for our prayers, and we are together, think of that person. Sometimes we don't know that person, but we send the vibration of love, of peace, of faith. Well, the Spirit will receive, will have that opportunity. So both worlds, we influence each other all the time. Okay, so far? Well, there are different types of obsession, okay? Starting from the simple one, like we said, that is not simple in the meaning that is easy, not that kind of simple. It's simple just because it starts slowly. It has the person, we barely, like we talked before, we barely notice that's there. It's just a thought. Well, if we don't pay attention, that can grow into a more serious obsession. But if we just, start not connecting to that thought, we completely get free from that influence. Right? Okay, that's the simple way. It's very common because we are interacting with the invisible world all the time. They're around us all the time. They're here, they're everywhere. There is no place. Some people, it's so funny because some people would say, I don't want to go to the Spirit Center. God forbid, there's spirits there. Guess what? The spirits are everywhere, right? As if we are privileged to have the spirits here, right? No, but there is that misconception sometimes that people, because they don't understand that, they don't know that, or they hadn't heard, but spirits are everywhere. But we just want to be connected to the good ones. So the moment that I keep my vibration high, that I'm paying attention. If was Fernando who said, no, you said about being sad. Of course I'll be sad one day for some reason. But if the moment that I pay attention, I ask for help. I have friends. Oh, I call. Right, Adriana? Oh, I'm not good today. I don't feel good. Well, then we help each other. We get out of this, right? If I can go into a very deep hole if I don't try. If I start really feeling sad and letting that feeling dominate me. In that case, I'm going to give the opportunity of something that could be a simple obsession, could go away very more easily, right? That is just an inconvenience. That's what it is. Simple in the sense it's just it's inconvenient. Those thoughts come by, you're not very happy about it, and then to become a real problem, an obsession that goes to the second type, that gets to be a fascination, where it starts to be so much stronger. It becomes like an illusion. The spirit, we think that it's our thoughts, but we don't believe anybody. You say certain things that don't make any sense, and people come and say, you know, are you sure you're saying those things or this, that? And you start not even believing that is not correct. You really start living, you paralyze your judgment. It gets to be really serious. And obviously here, people start, sometimes getting to the psychological side, that it gets to be a little confused by some other issues that can develop also up to the point where you can develop to your body certain problems, really physiological problems, okay?
Is this when you start hearing voices or not necessarily? Not necessarily. You just follow without thinking about it. You're doing things that is not you. It's not even the worst. Okay, here you still have some control. Okay, but there's that illusion that you're doing the best thing. So, for example, you start a business, let's say, and then you are doing certain things there, making some decisions that are, and here I'm not talking about the business by itself, but decisions towards other people, towards even the business per se. But those decisions are not, I'm your friend, and I notice that this is not really some practice that you normally do. In other words, you're a very ethical person usually, and suddenly you're leaning towards another direction, and I start talking to you, João, what is going on? And you completely ignore, you don't see it. You really think that's your thoughts, your ideas, I'm completely crazy. You can't even start reasoning with me. Does that make sense? So it is beyond just that inconvenience. It started really getting to be more dangerous to what is happening in your life, okay? The person cannot believe himself being deceived because we're so proud of ourselves. Yeah. We don't believe that somebody will have an influence that strong on us. I pray, I have faith, I this, I that, right? And so it is very hard for us to think that we could be under that kind of influence. So the obsessing spirit leads his target as though he were blind, making him accept the most ridiculous statements and theories as truth, and exciting him to actions of the most dangerous character. So basically they're having a lot of fun, right? Especially those who want revenge. Think about it, right? For some reason, you are the target because there is some personal issues there, and then you end up doing things that you are letting be led by another spirit. And we'll go back to this. Gets to a point that it's not us thinking. And for those mediums who have seen that situation, and for those who have read some of the books by André Luiz, it's almost like the spirit gets so close to us that you don't, even the action is the spirit doing, and you kind of lose control of yourself. All temporary, don't take me wrong. Nothing of this is forever, obviously, because we're not going to be in that situation and then not lose control of our lives. But while these two beings are so connected mentally, especially problems of hate, can be for a long time, they interact to the point that you cannot even disconnect them for a while. A constraint which paralyzes the will of his target makes him act in spite of himself, reducing him to a state of absolute bondage. It does sound scary. In a moment we're going to talk how to take care of these things. Don't worry about it, okay? I don't want to scare anybody. That's not the purpose. So subjugation is different than possession, because we've heard this word possession even in Hollywood, right? Yeah, right? People, what is the idea? That a spirit possesses you as if they would enter your body, right? That doesn't exist. We do not believe in spiritism. Nobody can enter anybody's body, right? No, doesn't exist. All kinds of obsession is just by proximity. They get close to you. Remember, we have our body, we have our perispirit, which is like an envelope of our spirit, right? Same shape as us. Okay. So the perispirit of the obsessor gets close to us. That's how it goes. That's it. No, nobody enters our body. Don't worry about that one. And even though when I said it gets so close, that's the maximum we're going to get. That if you try to look, it looks like they're one because they are doing exactly the same movements and doing the same things. They are acting alike. But it's different, the idea of possession, that the spirit has full control. It does have full control, but we are not alone. We have our guardian angel. We have our good spirits helping us. So it's not like that, like the spirit can do whatever they want with us. Yes, Rema.
And there's always a degree of consent.
Yeah, we let that happen. And think about it. I gave the example of killing, right? One person killed the other. There was no forgiveness. They are connected by that action, right? Well, guess what? One feels guilty, the other has the hate, and they are connected by those feelings. Okay, that's why it's so important that we forgive ourselves. We make the mistake. The moment that I'm able not to feel so guilty about it, I have the remorse, and then from the remorse, I want an action that is beneficial to me. I want to do good. I want to get away from that, but doing good and not going like this in a spiral, crystallize my thoughts and staying just, I made a mistake, and then I'm connected to that mistake, the person that I offended. And that's the danger. The moment that I'm able to forgive myself, okay, I made a mistake. Forgive me, God, I want to do something good. Of course, I cannot go back and get the person back if I kill the person, right? But I will have other actions that I'm able to do in next lives, in other situations, even in the spirituality, when I am able to not be connected. So even if the person didn't forgive me, if I don't have that kind of feeling of guilt in that level, I'm able to completely avoid all this. These are situations where the who perpetrated the action, the other one, they are connected because of the action itself, and until the moment that one of them breaks that cycle. Does that make sense? Yeah.
I guess it's like Velcro. It has to exist on both sides. Yes.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it can't. There's nothing to attach to.
Exactly. Exactly. So the important thing is we have. Remember when we talk about the free will, we have the control, we have the responsibility, and we have the opportunity of making that situation better for ourselves. Even in the worst situations ever, we're able to say to turn into some positive action. That's the only way. Doing good is the only way to avoid any of this. That's, we don't have to go through this at all, especially at this level, right? So,
Tania.
yeah.
So a person can think that they're going crazy, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Because people, they will say things, they'll be talking, or they will be doing that. It's beyond their will. Just they're like puppets in a certain way for that period of time that they're going through this. And that's when if we know someone, because sometimes it takes longer because that person needs the help coming from other intercessions, other people helping, right? And in some cases, a lot of people that are considered crazy, they are in this situation right here.
Sometimes we hear in the court system where somebody said, well, the devil made me do it. Voices and things like that. Is that subjugation?
Yeah, well, that's a good one, Jean, because when we talk about, again, the idea of the devil, what is the devil in Spiritism? How do we interpret, how do we understand? Because we don't believe in the devil, the figure that is in other philosophies and religions. What we believe is that some spirits are still not aware of goodness, and therefore they're still in an inferior side of the evolution, right? There is a degrees of evolution. So, and the goodness you want to get here, that's the goodness right here. So if you're not aware and you're still having pleasure in doing wrong things and cruel things, let's say, that's what would be a bad influence. So when I say the devil, well, we're just talking about spirits that they want us to make the mistakes, or they're unhappy, so they want to accompany, right? I mean, I'm unhappy, so I'm going to get somebody that might think like me, and so I have company with me. And that's all. It's not like a spirit. It is several spirits are like this. Like today, think about this world. How much violence, how many things that we see, cruelty and this and that. We don't need to disincarnate to experience that. We know it exists because we are still in a planet of trials and expiations. The evolution of our planet is still very low. The moment that we evolve, those things become better and better and better. So more towards the goodness, then we will feel the difference.
But the obsessor spirit can present itself with thoughts that it is the devil. Those are the thoughts that have more power over you. So the medium's book says, the obsessor spirit may say, this is the devil.
Oh, yeah, they present it.
So they will present themselves,
yeah.
Or the thoughts will present themselves in a way that will have the most power. So if you fear the devil, they're not going to say,
Yeah.
If it's just me, your
Oh.
old friend, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
they're gonna, this is the devil, go kill your kids.
Yeah.
Right.
And it also, you know, it is according to your beliefs,
Yes.
right? So whatever makes you follow,
Yes.
right? You know, we're all smart. We're all very intelligent.
Yeah, even kids know how
Right?
to do that.
So the idea of when you want to convince somebody of something, you're going to analyze that person. So they'll be with us for a while. Analyze us, see our strengths and our weaknesses, and go right there. So if I'm a vain person, you know, that's a proud person. If I am, so whatever makes that it's easier to reach out, to get to me.
Do we work with our minds?
Yeah,
Our
exactly.
weaknesses.
So, is that their fault? No, because if I didn't have that problem, they would never get me to do that. And this is all why? Because we are working on getting to be better. We are evolving. It's just a process of evolution. There's nothing bad about it. How come that God allows that? Well, God gave us the free will, not only for us to make decisions and have fun. Well, we have also to have responsibility. Because it's like kids. We want the freedom without the responsibility, right? Isn't that what teenagers like? I am 17 years old, so I can do everything I want. Yeah, but it's okay, go there, work for yourself, get your money, pay your, oh no, I have to study, I don't have that. Well, it's the same thing. We want the fun part of things, but then when you say, but it is your responsibility to keep up with your, even our thoughts. We try to be 24 hours without any bad thoughts. Try. Get in the traffic. Get a kid at home not being nice to you. Or, you know, the husband or the wife saying something that you don't like. I mean, we go like this. And there are days that we're more here than here. Right? Well, these are the moments where we connect to different spirits. But that moment that we really look at the sunset and go, oh my God, thank you. This is beautiful. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, guess where we are connecting, right? It doesn't take, it's not that we need to be praying 24 hours a day. We need to, every time we go, ooh, try to go up. You know, that's our job right now. To realize when we start being those complainers, now after half an hour you're complaining about something, stop. Like go, oh my gosh, I cannot even stand myself saying that anymore, right? That's okay. Those have that half hour. You complained, but don't, you know, just pick it up from there and raise the thought. Try to find something positive. Change that way of thinking. Okay?
Done.
Yeah.
And how about when you are aware of where you need to change
Mm-hmm.
and you don't want to accept it? You understand that you need to change something, and you feel you like. Inside of you still like to do that.
Yeah. We're still rebellious, right? I mean, we are spirits that, like we said, the example of the kids, I mean, it's very true. The moment that I want the freedom, we talked last week about moral duty. Remember, moral duty. We have to do certain things if we like it or we don't like it. But if I like something, you know, it's like me liking chocolate, right? I know I shouldn't have as much chocolate. It's not good for my health. I gain weight, blah, blah, blah. I have all that reason inside. And then it gets to me, that's so good. And I see the chocolate, you know. Well, what is that? We do that all the time with a lot of things, right? We say, I'm not going to let anything now to put me down. Okay, I wake up in the morning, I have that in my mind, and no matter what, today I'm going, well, first 5 minutes something happens and I'm down, right? Because I'm still exercising. Remember, we always talk about this. It doesn't happen overnight. We're not going to be here and be next day up here. No, it's one step. We take the steps, not the elevator. Well, I don't know what I heard that, but I thought it was cool. We need to remember it's one step at a time. When you try to take the elevator, that won't help. It doesn't. We need to work for it. We need to learn those things, right? We need to exercise. So if that is difficult for me, if I know I need, but I still like, that means at least I'm aware of it. A lot of things we're not even aware. We think that's good, right? So that's already a good step. Yeah.
And then keep trying, never giving up.
Exactly.
You know, if you have the awareness that you want to change something, but you don't want to change, you have that ambivalence. Try one day and then try that. Keep trying, never give up.
Because if we believe that, think about it, right? We believe, because if somebody else tells us, and it's not something that touches our heart, that's easy. You know, just whatever. But if we believe, that's our duty to keep trying, even if it's still a tough thing to do, right? Who is the obsessor? It could be an inferior spirit. And remember, inferior is relative, right? Is it nice we say inferior, we feel so superior, right? Well, everything is relative, you know. I am very inferior, you know, if I think of the superior spirits, obviously. So, usually is a spirit that we mentioned before. You still have those thoughts and those difficulties, or is caught up in his or her own suffering. So the person, let's get an example. Well, that woman, you know, as a mother, saw her daughter, I don't know, being killed or being abused or something. And that mother, who not necessarily is a bad person, I'm not talking about bad people, she saw the suffering. Her suffering made what? That she sometimes crystallizes, paralyzes that suffering, and takes a while to move on, right? So that can happen. A lot of suffering causes the person to take a while to go through. We've seen two people have the same problem, one will react different than the other, right? And sometimes it can cause to become the obsessor because they don't accept. In life, lived under events which cause rebellion and repression in emotions, situations that, again, in our lives, we lived in a household with problems, a dysfunctional family, in many situations that the person didn't take that in a way that, you know, caused the growth, the spiritual growth right away. Eventually, everybody will go through that spiritual growth. But sometimes it takes a while before we can go through that. Death could not liberate him or her. Sometimes some spirits, they just don't accept that they died. And they feel alive, life continues, and they go, wait a minute, was supposed to be nothing after this. What is going on? I don't like this. It has to be over. I don't want to go back. I don't want. Well, who cares what we want? There is the divine laws. And that's it. We have to follow. And because we're rebellious, you know, sometimes we waste a lot of time, you know, because we just don't want to accept God's laws, right? And that is unchangeable. The God's laws are unchangeable. Okay? Why? Oh, look at this picture. You want to get scared? Don't have bad dreams tonight. Okay. What do we have here? Okay? We have this incarnated spirit, this guy. What is he doing? Drinking. He's in a bar, right? This guy, look at him. I doubt he sees this guy. And here is a spirit who is connected by the drinking. That's an easy example to give. That's why we get that. There could be any examples.
It's interesting that in English, another word for the heavy alcohol is spirits.
Yeah, that is funny. Yeah, first time I saw that, I said, that's interesting. But look who is here. Oh, one guy. How many are helping? Look. Right? the good spirits are there. They're not alone. But God allows because He needs to learn. He needs to learn. They're helping. But being a helper doesn't mean go there and, right? Yeah. We try with our kids, right? Instead of just, we want to take them away from the danger. But we go, no, you need to learn to cross the street. You have to look at both sides. So at the beginning we hold their hands tight. And then goes and gets to a moment where you have to let them go and get a car and drive. Right? But it happens. So how does that happen? Is that overnight? So see how it's like, think about God that way. See how easy it is when you do the analogy? We do that. So God does the same thing. Give us the free will. At the beginning of times, He's holding our hands tight. And then He like, go. But He's there. Because we are there, especially if there is a problem, right? We are there to help the kids. God is always there through His messengers, right there. Okay? And one. Okay. Incarnate or discarnate spirit who doesn't like other spirit. We talked about it. Out of jealousy. Why obsession happens? That's the question. Out of possessive love. Ooh, look at that one. Oh, I love you so much, I don't want to leave you. Then I die, and then the poor person, the life is miserable because the other one cannot let it go, cannot just move on. So the possessive love is not the kind of love that Jesus talked about, that we learn. We learn about unconditional love. The love that frees, not the love that binds. This kind of love that the person cannot. The same for family. Some people, some spirits, they will discarnate and then they have a hardest time moving on because they cannot leave the kids or the husband or the wife or other people. But we're not, it's not the situation. We'll be together one day, right? We need to be in the plane doing the things that we need to do. But that's again, sometimes go, but I don't want to, right, Elizabeth, like you said, I want to stay here. And then, it's a difficulty. So another exercise, let's work on detaching from people, love, but not possess, okay? Affinity with different kinds of thoughts, vices, someone revenge from choices the now victim made in the past and hurt him or her. Because we say, okay, in the past one hurt, then comes back. So they keep changing roles. We don't know, somebody has to break that cycle, right? So that's when the obsession ends. Okay. Chun chun, there is no victim. We open doors. Okay? We are the ones in charge. Okay. Recognizing obsession. My special effect didn't work very well this time, sorry. Don't read what I'm not talking about, okay? Recognizing obsession in our lives. Did somebody say something? Emotional oscillation, irritability. Then they're going to say, give me a break. How am I going to know that? Right? Yeah. Nobody gets irritated here, right? Well, it is, especially in times when there is no real reason. Of course, if somebody irritates you, get irritated, you are irritated for a reason, right? Or something. But sometimes you're just in that mode of irritation that there isn't really a reason, apparent reason. Again, let's be vigilant. Let's pay attention, right? And there's nothing to do but just calm down. We can do a prayer. We can connect to the good spirits. That's it. We don't need any more than that. That's simple. Any form of physical or mental coercion that dominates the will. Okay, we are trying to recognize obsession, right? So here we talked about thoughts, we talk about those, when we really get the will of doing certain things, that impulse, that you say, what is it that is coming to my mind?
And sometimes simple. Sometimes you're having some kind of discussion, not really an argument, but sometimes even talking among friends or at home. And suddenly you start getting irritated, and suddenly you start aggravating the situation. So if we're able to recognize those situations and stop, it's almost like moving away from that, and then being able to not let that happen in our lives. We are going away from any possible influence. Involuntary behaviors, lack of self-control, things that you start doing that is not really yourself. You feel like you're wanting to do certain things that are not. For example, imagine somebody who does not like to go to certain places. Okay? Sometimes like loud music, for example, right? And you normally don't appreciate that kind of place. You like it, that's okay, but some people don't. So you don't. And suddenly you just start going, or we can do the other way. Let's just say you like loud music, and suddenly you start, wanting something different. I don't know. Whatever it is that is against your own behavior, is different. It might not necessarily positive. If it's positive, that's good, right? But if it is something that is causing you to wonder what is happening, just let's pay attention and work on it for the best. Always for whatever is best for the situation. Persistent negativity. Oh boy, this one is tough. And there are times in our lives that this gets more aggravated, right? But let's pay attention, because it is again whom I'm connecting to. I initiate. I'm not saying that they initiate, okay? Don't take me wrong. I can be initiating something, and then I connect to this other minds, these other thoughts. So if I'm really negative over and over and over, let's be careful. Watch out. Persistent unhealthy thoughts or ideas. Like we gave some examples on how we sometimes start getting scared. You're home and say, oh my gosh, I think I heard a noise. And then you stay there. And then suddenly you start hearing things. You start you start creating, well, what if somebody enters? What would I do? Would I call 911? And then they would come. I tell you, if we let your mind go, you go crazy, right? So let's be careful. Excessive pride, when I know it all, doesn't matter what people say, this is a very open door. And if we have a good friend that is in that situation, let's be a good friend. Let's talk, You know what? Nobody knows. If we think we know it all, guess what? We do not evolve. Because if I know, I don't need to change, I don't need to learn, I don't need to be different, right? So this is really, really dangerous here. Person's inability to see the untruth of the thought or idea. Like we normally say, we are so intelligent that we can get any idea and have arguments to, to support it, right? For the best or for the worst, good and bad. And we've seen situations where two people, opposite ideas, they will have that's okay, that's normal. But if we have to be aware of what ideas are we having, what do we really support, what are we really saying. So, especially not to be so proud that we don't listen to anybody. You don't have to agree with the other person, but at least check it out, what the person is saying and your own beliefs, and try to see what makes sense to you, but in an open mind way.
And even if it doesn't make sense to you, respect the difference.
Exactly.
Exactly. That's part of living in community, it's respecting difference.
That's right, that's right. And otherwise, you might be opening doors to more trouble, right? Ideas of grandiosity.
Person takes offense at criticism on any work performed. So, if we are in that, situation where everything that everybody does, we criticize, it's not good enough. It's this, it's that. Well, let's be careful, right? Let's look at everybody's talents, everybody's strengths and weaknesses. Let's value each other, right? We are not, these are all related to feel that you are better. And then we start getting that way, you know which spirits we are connecting to. Avoidance of a healthy situation. Avoidance of those who can offer useful advice. So some people, is like, and again, it's not, this does not mean that these people are obsessed, okay? There can be some signs that can help us notice signs of obsession, okay? But what happens here is that if the person, again, think that know it all and doesn't accept anything people say, well, usually could be in that situation of subjugation, because the person gets really blind. It's almost like, cannot see, cannot think by him or herself. So just some ideas. In other words, the simple way is when, especially fixed ideas, that you notice the person cannot get away from fixed ideas. It's always that, it's, the name obsession is very appropriate. Okay, how to combat obsession? Inner transformation. There is no other way. If I know that I'm in charge and I am responsible and I am the one who can make the difference in my own life, I need to become a better person. I need to change. It's not asking those other people to change. Or I'm not going to go there. There's no magic. Oh, I go somewhere, they're going to do I, B, C, D, and then I'm going to, I don't even know the terms, but something to me that I'll have the special, something I'll walk around with the amulet, I'll just say charm, and nothing can happen to me. There isn't such a thing. It doesn't exist.
But if you believe in it, it actually,
well, you
because
put
it's only
the power
affinity.
to it.
But exactly, because it's all of the law of affinity. So if somebody's walking around with an amulet and says, because I'm carrying this, these ideas will have no power over me. When the ideas come, they start not having power over that person. But because the person is empowering the amulet. But, that's why it's
still talks about it. That's not gonna
affect you.
And then you change your vibration.
You are changing your vibration and your thoughts.
Yeah.
But you don't avoid having obsessors by you, right? You can avoid certain things, but not that you're going to really avoid the obsession. If you don't change, there's nothing that can be done to you. Or you can even go to a place and they take that spirit away, right? And then guess what? You attract another, right?
Yeah. But here with Spiritists as well, right? Because some people think if they have a posse,
oh yeah,
all problems gonna disappear like that.
It might disappear for 5 minutes, and then they come back.
And they don't have to do anything about it,
Yeah,
they just
that's
receive.
true.
But
again, it's the same idea. We are in charge. So you're perfectly right. In any situation, any religion, any philosophy, or anything, you can give the power to the past, to the charm, to this, in your mind, to say, or to the candle. Some people say, I'm going to light up a candle. And I'm not talking spiritism, but, well, in that moment, you can even connect to the good spirits. You can even put your obsessor a little farther away from you. Well, the moment you disconnect, it is back, right? Because it's our thoughts. That's the only way we can do it. Resist, prove to the spirit that he will not be allowed. Well, if the spirit wants to influence me to do something wrong, and I show that I'm not doing because I'm not that kind of person, and I change. Okay, he was my buddy before,
We hang out together. We did bad things together a few lives ago. But now guess what? I've changed. I'm sorry. I don't want to hang out with you anymore. It's like being part of a gang, right? It's hard to get out of a gang. They don't like that. Isn't that true? It's the same thing with the spirits. If we used to be part of that kind of spirits, that group, the moment that we decided to change, they don't like that. They want you back. They lost a friend, right? So, as simple as that. So, but you prove yourself, you're different, you're not more fun. They don't want to be around you anymore, so they go away. So, see, we don't have to do anything. We just become a better person. And then those who still want to hang out doing bad things, they will find somebody else that will like that. But, again, our real self. Perseverance. Tired obsessor showing your patience is greater than his persistence. Right? Be good, be good, be good. After 10 days, the obsessor, I'm so sick of it. Let me get away from here. That person is not going to do what I want. And we'll move on. So let's be perseverant. Prayer, call upon the superior spirits to help, always. Passes, they help, because, again, it's not magic. It's part of getting that good energy. Helps us, okay? But here. Then we keep that energy. Otherwise, even when we're there getting our passes, what happens? Sometimes we're not getting anything if we are not connected. We need to be in receiving mode, right? If we don't get it. Transfer of spiritual energy that restores the spiritual balance. But then let's keep the spiritual balance. Disobsession. To counsel the obsessing spirits and the person obsessed. So, this here, disobsession is what? Okay, we talked about inner transformation, but we talked about the passes and the water, the water that helps also in the spiritual balance, in the fluids, the energy. And now we're talking about the meetings, the disobsession meetings. This in Spiritism is well known and overused. And I'm going to say it that way because a lot of people associate Spiritism only with this. See, this is one of the things that happen because we believe in the interaction with the spirits. We believe that life continues, that we have that possibility of communicating with them and helping each other. Not only helping the other side, but helping us. These obsession meetings, what happens? Through mediumship, it's necessary to counsel the obsessing spirit. It's necessary to have a dialogue. To understand, the moment we understand something, we can make different choices. If I haven't forgiven, if I'm after somebody, if I'm causing trouble to that person, and I'm so blind that I don't realize how bad it is for myself, because I think I'm causing trouble to the person, what about me? Right? I'm not moving forward, I'm there, I don't see the people that I love, I'm just stuck. Well, the moment that in a meeting, through the medium, we're able to have a dialogue with the spirit that is in that situation as an obsessor, in a nice way, an understanding and loving way, not preaching, but just understanding where he or she is coming from. And we are able to show in words, in love, in understanding, look, what is going on with you? What about those that you love? You're so occupied with this person that you're hating, you're losing track of those that can be with you. And in this line of thought, sometimes we're able to show to that spirit that there is a different way. The justice of God is there. That God does not need us to do the justice with our own hands. So when the spirit really is touching his or her heart and believes in that and accepts that
is able, sometimes not forgive right away, but at least let it go. At least say, okay then, let me check this situation. Let me move on a little. Let me give some space. And that's the moment that we're able to help a bunch of people. The spirit that is obsessor, they're obsessed, everybody involved in that situation, because it's always a lot of people involved in the situation. It's never one or two people, right? And those meetings are this kind of, I'm kind of saying things that are here. It requires to be in the spiritual center because they have the connection with the spirituality. This way, the superior spirits help. I mean, they're the ones that do the command of the situation. The incarnated, we are helpers. We are learning through it too, to love, not to do things that they are doing and suffering from. Does that make sense? So, in the Disobsession meeting, I'm going to have a picture at the end that will show this. I'm going to say and show to you. There are the mediums that will coordinate the meeting, right? Will talk to the spirit, the mediums themselves, and those in the support also that give the passes, and also that will be praying and helping the whole place to be prepared for that situation. And I'm going to show the picture so it's clear. This is a meeting. We see both sides, right? So we have here, it's a big one, by the way. We have the people are sitting there. You see the spirits that are helping. See, look at the connections by thought that they have here. And here, not all the meetings, most of the meetings you don't have people watching. Here they have some, but it can be supporting as well. So the way it works in this kind of meetings is that the spirit that is going to communicate is helped by the other spirits, the superior spirits, and they are going to talk. I'm trying to see properly here. They are not having a communication here, right? No. Here they're just kind of connecting. That goes with the one that goes. Remember, you saw the one before. There was that light going towards the superior side. Oh, here it is. I knew I had one. Manifest of a needy spirit. So here we have the needy spirit right here. The others, he is kind of giving the pass, right? This is the medium, and then he's going to talk to the person that is in charge of the dialogue. And when that happens, is what we talked before. So each spirit, when we look, it's like us, right? It's the same thing. We can be needy many times. We need the love, the care, the understanding. So these spirits, they need the same kind of attention. They deserve that from us. And the moment that we have our patience, we learn from their experiences so that we avoid repeating those experiences, like anybody else's experience. We hear the stories, we help them, and we are helped. So basically, the essential part of the spirit is to understand why. Why? And sometimes they will say more to you. Sometimes they will explain why they're doing bad things, and 99.9% or more, it is because they suffered something before and they were stuck in that situation in their minds. So they start doing something not positive. So the moment that they understand that, they're able to change. Oh, that's it. It's wonderful to see. Like anybody incarnated, if we have a friend who is doing something that is not good for himself, and we are able to influence and help and to make that change, how do we feel? It's the same thing. Because it is. I mean, there is no difference between us except that we have our bodies right now. Right now. Not for too long. Right? I mean, if you think of eternity. can be 100 years. It's still not too long when you talk about eternity. Does this all make sense? In order to unlock its mental field, it's important to avoid any type of unnecessary discussion. So here are some hints on how we talk to the Spirit. We don't preach. We don't judge. We don't say, oh my God, why are you doing this? No, that's not it. It's understanding their suffering so that you say, look, we know how hard it is to forgive somebody who did this to you. But think about how much happier you can be if you're able to disconnect from that person. So, it is a very fraternal dialogue. So the disobsession meetings, there's nothing mystic about it. There's nothing really crazy about it. Because if you've never participated in one of those, it is just a conversation with the Spirit that might be unhappy, upset, nervous, all those things that we all experience with incarnated people. Exactly the same thing. And if we are able to open our hearts and give that love to them, that's what it takes. Yeah, do you want to say something?
I was going to say something on those lines. It's an exercise of our ability to love. Because you get in touch with spirits who did things that we may judge at first.
Yeah.
Like, but then we have to exercise our capacity to love and not to judge. So, yeah, and this can be, we can take that for our lives with incarnate spirits too. When we're dealing with friends and family and people, if we're dealing with someone who did something so bad to us, just exercise that capacity to love and,
Exactly.
deal with the situation from that point of view. Or that, yeah.
So just to conclude, just because of our time, when we talk about obsession, let's just think that we are all immersed in the same universe, incarnated, discarnated spirits, that we are all sons and daughters of God, that we are in this process of evolution, that we learn in different ways. Sometimes we choose, because of our free will, to learn through love and wonderful times and peaceful times. Other times we make choices that will cause us to have a suffering situation, a problem, a vicissitude, something that will cause us harm. We are just going forward towards perfection. And for us to get there, we interact and we learn from this interaction. We live in society not by chance. It's because each one of us have something to add to the other. We are not all good or all bad right now. We are all in the process of learning. So every time we hear, either in Spiritism, that's a common thing to hear about obsession and meetings of disobsession or mediumship and this and that sometimes we give so much value to it. This is just one little piece of things. What it is important, we hear that also in other places, other ways. In Hollywood, you see movies these days that show not only meetings, but but also about the spiritual life, about spirits that die, they don't know, like The Passengers, the others, all these movies. That means that people are talking about this in different ways, different contexts. So let's be aware when we hear those things, that we know that it's just a matter of how we just interact. And the moment that we understand that and simplify that, we are able to see each other as brothers and sisters and to help each other through formal meetings or through just a conversation, or even a thought comes to our mind and we go, well, if this is not my thought, send a good vibration to whoever sent that thought to you. We are active. We We don't need to be passive. Just, oh my God, somebody's trying to get me. Give me a break. What is that about, right? No, let's send a good thought. Switch the vibration. That's the point. That's why there's no scary moment. Even if we hear something, some people say, if I see something, I run away, right? Who knows? But if we just think of all of us being the same, that means we can be in a better situation, helping ourselves to grow spiritually and helping others. Everything else, we can learn about the types of disobsession, obsession, the technical side of it. But love is the key. Once I have love, I have it all. And if I'm home, I hear something like Ron said, I feel something, oh my God, no. We send a prayer and we are good. Okay? Can you turn off the light for me, please? And I'll turn on here. Thank you for listening.